Okay, so the time has come to review my ALICE LBE setup. I don't have a complete setup here because honestly the gear just doesn't really fit that well. I could actually put the Bianchi leg extender on here, but the way it carries, not really too crazy about it, and I've got my own experience, which is it's going to get its separate review. But basically, this ALICE LBE setup, it's pretty much ready for review. I've done a good amount of testing with it physically, doing workouts, you know, running my drills or whatever, and my little courses, and the mosquitoes out here are pretty bad. But I've done it in uniform and out of uniform. Like this is the True Spec BDU, which I've done a review on, and also I've run this through my course that I'm as far as like how to test gear, and I'll go ahead and show you guys. I showed you guys that in another video, and I'll link that in the description below, how I went through it, if you guys haven't seen that. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and take this gear off and go ahead and show you each individual piece of gear and some of the challenges I've noticed with it. Okay, so I got my ALICE gear set up here, and right here I have one of the most updated packs in OD green from the ALICE LBE system, the butt pack. This was kind of an afterthought on this system. This wasn't exactly something that was issued with troops. I think some troops did get it later on that were required to by SOP, but you know, it is what it is. This can carry a good amount of stuff, but it's not, you know, waterproof or whatever. It's basically like your little day pack when you're out in the field. Now, I have had some fraying here. This thing was beautiful when I first got it, but in my course of testing, I've seen that there's been some fraying in these areas. Now, you can hold extra gear here, like if you wanted to carry a medical pouch. I didn't really load this thing down that much, which, you know, it is what it is. But as far as these extra flaps, I just tucked them in here, and throughout my testing, I never really had an issue with these coming out. However, you might want to I guess come up with a method to kind of secure these down, which, you know, it's on you to find that out. But anyways, next thing is these canteens. These are about as new as I can get them. However, obviously there was fraying here. It's starting to give way. So, you know, it didn't really do that well when I was on my side and dragging myself along the dirt, because I guess this material just really isn't going to hold up that well, and that's really what my experience was in boot camp anyways. So the next one is these ammunition pouches. So of course they hold 3 magazines and stuff. I actually have the old school method of pulling out the magazines before Magpul came around, and this is Steyr AUG magazines. They work great now, so not a big problem there. Now, when I was in boot camp, I saw a lot of these little snaps where one of the arms was snapped off, or they just weren't really retaining that well because they were so well used. That's one issue that you might have if you use this gear a lot. Maybe you do role playing, or you do reenactments or whatever. Something to consider if you're wanting to keep your gear new because you're trying to look like a new troop. So next thing is grenade pouches. So you got to learn how to actually put these grenades in. You can put the pin in here to prevent from snagging and stuff like that. You can get dummy grenades for like 10 bucks online. Not really a big deal. Next is the compass pouch, and I'm actually using a real military compass, a Kamenga, and you know, it's a pretty durable compass, but this is a compass pouch, and it can also be a first aid pouch. It's the smallest first aid pouch, and it's not really going to do all that much for you, but it's enough to patch you up at first, and that was really the only concern, patch you up and get you out of there, and then the corpsman or medic can take care of the rest. That was the idea anyways. But anyways, to take stress off of them, you typically want to have your own stuff to treat you for traumatic stuff, just to save on equipment. Next is the magazine pouches. Now this is a snap closure. I'm not really a fan of snap closures. If I'm going to be rocking something like a 1911, this holds like 1 Beretta magazine, but it can hold 2 1911 8-round magazines, and it fits pretty securely. It does retain very well. It's not really going to slip out. and it's not really going to give you much of an issue. At least it hasn't for me. Now let's go to the buckle system. The buckle system leaves a little bit to be desired, and what I mean by that is if you're going to be getting this used, you're going to notice there's going to be a little bit of slack in this. So there's a little bit of room here where it could be closed a little bit better, but it just wasn't. So when I was in the prone, I actually had this come unbutton at one point, and these things are actually pretty prone to breakage. When I was in boot camp, I had something like this, and or one of these, and it did come undone pretty easily. As far as the ALICE clips are concerned, I only had like 1 or 2 walking out on me, but the gear never was unsecured. They were pretty well secured inside this. I think it was actually the pistol mag pouch that actually came undone. But you know, when you're going into these loops, these looped areas, it can be pretty tough. The belt held up great. I'm not really a fan of the idea that these ammunition pouches are holding up the straps, or the straps are attached to this, because it looks pretty damn flimsy. This is not my preferred way of doing things, and it's not really it's something that I would want long term, because I'm already getting some fraying in this area, so not really something that I like to see. And I've seen plenty of these where the eye holes are actually frayed out, and I mean, these things are basically ready to give out, so not really that great, right? So this Y system, as you see, I'm a smaller dude, so I basically have this almost all the way down attached to the butt pack. This gives you a little more lift. If this was attached to the belt, as basically, you know, the book or the manual would actually say to do, this would obviously be down a little bit more. But I like this Y system as long as it's properly adjusted to where this area is off of your neck, and you know, this area being open allows your shoulder blades free movement. But you know, some people don't like it because they say the H harness works a little bit better, and you know, everybody's got their own opinion, right? So anyways, I like this system. It's very cheap, it's very doable. Some people like to some of the SOPs or preferred ways of doing things. If you had flexible SOPs back in the day, you could actually clip these things off the metal and just attach them with 550 cord. Same with the front. That was actually a big recommendation for like airborne troops or people that are going to be wearing a lot of gear on top of it, because the metal could press into your body. I haven't had an issue with that, and I think that's because I duct taped the hell out of this thing to keep it silent, and you know, everything else. So there is a little bit of fraying happening here on the belt, but it's really not too much. But if you're going to be rocking this, then I would actually get the upgraded version that was used with the IIFS, where it's actually the black buckle. And you know, I don't know how reproductions really go, but or aftermarkets pistol belts go, but I'm pretty sure they'll do just fine. You're not really going to be carrying too much weight, because there's going to be a limitation of everything that you can fit on the belt depending on how big you are. You might be able to carry a pistol on here, maybe some more pouches, but other than that, you're not really going to be getting all that much gear on here, from my experience, especially if you're, you know, say between 5'5" and you know 5'10", you may not actually have the waist, but if you're a big fat ass, you'll probably be able to carry a shitload of gear on here, right? So but you're going to be carrying a lot of weight, so you know, if you want to fill it up. But anyways, that's pretty much my review of this ALICE gear. It's still a pretty good option, but it can move around a little bit when you're doing movement, so it's not really that great. You can see that again, you know, in the video that I did on testing your gear. But with all that said, I appreciate you all watching, and you guys have a good one.